Hello and welcome to my presentation on conducting a chi-square test of independence. My name is Daniel Garcia and this is for a class at California Intercontinental University, GRC 605, Business Research Methodology and Quantitative Statistics. So the agenda. We're going to, first we're going to talk about Cramer's V interpretations, just give you a table to look at and briefly explain what that is. And then we're going to look at three chi-square tests that we performed on the data. So I should mention, give you some background on what the data was, first of all. So a survey, by using SurveyMonkey, was created and distributed to participants in the Midwestern United States. And the survey questions asked them information regarding their income, their debt, savings, other important personal finance factors. Also, as we'll see in this discussion here, they also asked specific things like how many car payments do you have, and they had a Likert scale survey question, which also asked them what their level of comfort was with this amount of car payments and debt and things like that. So we're going to look at those data items. The first one, you can see there on the agenda, the first chi-square test that we looked at was the number of car payments actually that they're making, and the number of default loan payments that they have. And then also a comparison on the second chi-square test. This is the LIK stands for the Likert. The Likert survey question asked them their level of comfort. They answered on a scale of 1 to 4, how comfortable they were with their current financial situation. And that was compared to the number of default loans that they have. On the third chi-square test, we asked them about the number of car payments that they have and what that response was to their Likert question, their comfort level on having this number of car payments. So we'll look at what the results were for those chi-square tests and see if we had any significant findings, and then we'll wrap up with some takeaways on this. So first here, just letting you look at a table here of Cramer's V interpretations. So this talks about the strength of the association between the variables that are being looked at. And you can see there that there's the strength of the association and what that interpretation is, and then there's some comments to tell you what the relationship is. So for example, let's say that we had a V value of somewhere between 0.35 and 0.40. Let's say we had a 0.37 V value. So if you look there on the table, you can look down there, you see that there's a range between 0.35 and 0.40. So 0.37 would fall in that range. We would interpret that V value as being a very strong relationship. And you can see the comments there. It says, winner, this is the ideal range and the gold standard for V, meaning that it's a very strong relationship between those variables that are being analyzed. Okay, so the first hypothesis test that we performed was on these two variables, the number of car payments that the respondent had and the number of default loans that the respondent had. We did not find any significant result between these two data items. The null hypothesis stated that there is no relationship between the number of cars, loans, and the number of defaulted loans. The alternate hypothesis stated that there is a relationship between the number of cars, loans, and the number of defaulted loans. So as I said, we did not find a significant relationship between these data items. And you can see there no relationship emerged, and there's the values that were presented. And 150 was the total number of respondents that were evaluated. And you see we ended up with a V value of 0.15. So remembering, looking back at that table, that is not a significant finding. So the second hypothesis test, we looked at, again, this is that Likert question that was presented to them, that Likert type of question that was presented to them about their level of comfort with their current financial situation. And we looked at that compared to the number of defaulted loans that they have. Again, this was not a significant relationship. The null hypothesis said that there would be no relationship between their response on that Likert comfort measure and the number of defaulted loans. The alternate hypothesis said that there would be a relationship between that Likert comfort response and the number of defaulted loans, but there was not a significant relationship found. In fact, we found really the same relationship that we found on the last two, on the first hypothesis test that we conducted. Same values. We ended up with another V value of 0.15. And the third and final hypothesis test that we did, this one was significant. This was the number of car payments that the respondent had and their level of comfort with their financial situation. So this was a significant finding, meaning that the more car payments that the respondent had, the more likely they were to feel uncomfortable with their current financial arrangement, as you might guess. The null hypothesis stated that there is no relationship between number of cars and their response on the Likert comfort scale, but the alternate hypothesis, which we were able to accept, said that there is a relationship between the number of cars and that response on the Likert comfort scale. And you can see there with the numbers, it was a pretty significant relationship. The V value was a 1.00, which if you, again, go back and look at that table that I showed at the beginning of the presentation, the Cramer's V value of 1.0 indicates a perfectly symmetrical relationship. Okay, so some takeaways from this. A chi-square test is a statistical hypothesis test in which the sampling distribution of the test statistic is a chi-square distribution when the null hypothesis is true. A chi-square test is used to determine whether or not there is a significant relationship between the expected frequencies and the observed frequencies, and that is measured with the V value. With our data set that we looked at in this presentation, we determined that there was a significant relationship only between the variables of the number of cars, actually should be number of car payments, well, actually I say that the respondent was making payments on, and their self-reported level of financial comfort as answered on a Likert scale. So that was a good finding. Thank you for watching. Any questions?